This week in Hypixel Skyblock, a few things happened, and in this video I'll be covering most of them. Now, I already covered it last week on Alpha, but the update is out on main. So if you want a more in-depth vid, watch the one linked in the description. But basically what happened was, Bers received a massive buff with extra range through the swing range stat that can be gained by using weapons and the Bers level. Bers also now has an AoE effect. While Bers got extra range, there's a small issue. Ferocity will not work if the range thing is in effect. Also, the Bloodlust ability may have been nerfed, as your healing is now much lower compared to before, but you'll have more survivability, as you can gain extra defense through a new passive perk. Also, the Ragnarok ability has been buffed to give more attack speed, movement speed, and damage. Dupe Archer is not that bad now, as you can get plus 50% extra damage for not duping Archer instead of 100%. Healer was also buffed with a new perk that gives you an absorption shield if you are healed at full HP. At max healer level, the ability gives 40% of the player's HP as absorption, and if you are the sole healer, the bonus increases to 60%. And from the Wish ability, you can potentially get 80%. Also, the Mage Beam seems to have been buffed. The cooldown is now affected by attack speed. Also, the drop-off point is much farther and the hit reg is higher. Also, the range is increased during M7 Dragon phase. There are a few new things that will help mid-game and early game players. You can now dungeonize the dragon shortbow and use it at Catacombs level 8. You can upgrade the spirit bow to deal more damage. Dungeon items at base tier will now give a 10% stat boost, making them better than non-dungeonized items. The Dreadlord sword now requires Kata 3 to use. Also, the cleavers have been buffed. Also, you can now get the following items if you beat F3 and don't need Catacombs 16. And you can get these items if you beat floor 6 and don't need Catacombs 28. Also, all the dragon armor dungeonization requirements have been heavily nerfed. They heavily reduced the mob HP of entrance, F1 and F2 mobs. So this should make dungeons easier for newer players. Also, adaptive is much cheaper now. Dungeon talismans will now give double MP while in dungeons. You now have a short period of invulnerability when teleporting to someone using spirit leaps. I sometimes think the admins want players to bug abuse. You can also add the Gilded Reforged to the Midas staff, and it gives you plus 350 intelligence. There's now a cooldown of 1 second when placing down orbs, so your mana won't go poof now. So yeah, good change. The SOS flares now have an even lower cooldown. You can now sort your pet menu alphabetically and only hide your own pet. You can now get 4 extra accessory bag slots from the redstone miner guy. You also no longer have a cooldown when resetting your Art of the Mountain tree. Both the tactical insertion and soul whip have been nerfed because people were using them to one-tap bosses. Also, the griffin pet buff no longer remains after unequipping the pet. And I obviously knew that was a bug. The Sedan Giant in F6 and M6 now spawns faster. You don't have to listen to Necron to collect your F3 chest now. Storm's idle time will now be reduced based on the number of wither skeletons you kill. Also, the blood room teleportation thing is much faster now, and you don't have to wait for the respawning skeletons to get your keys. The Felthorn Reaper now costs a Fel Skull that can be obtained from the F6 bedrock chests. You also need 5 Fel Roses crafted by using 16 Fel Pearls and 3 Ancient Roses. Also, watch last week's vid if you want to learn about the new items. And finally, you can no longer blow up the Midas script and run away.